Ever since King Von's tragic death, the streets haven't seen a moment of peace. His closest allies have kept the pressure on, making it clear that the war didn't end with him. Von's day one associates have stayed active, sliding, dissing, and broadcasting their moves to the world, even taking the beef to Instagram Live. From Lil Durk calling out "Quando Rondo" to Von's circle seeking retaliation, the conflict has turned into a public spectacle. King Von, born Davon Daquan Bennett on August 9, 1994, rose from Chicago's infamous O Block neighborhood to become one of drill music's brightest stars. Signed to Lil Durk's Only the Family label, Von built a reputation for vivid, gritty storytelling that captured life in the trenches. His debut album, Welcome to O Block, dropped just a week before his death, and was already gaining serious momentum. Everything took a tragic turn on November 6, 2020, when Von was shot and killed outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta. The incident began as a heated confrontation between Von's crew and associates of rapper Quando Rondo. Surveillance footage later showed Von throwing the first punch at Quando before gunfire erupted. Timothy "Lul Tim" Leaks, reportedly part of Quando's camp, allegedly pulled the trigger in the chaos. 6 people were shot Von and 2 others fatally. Early reports sparked confusion over whether police were responsible, but Atlanta authorities later confirmed Von was shot during the initial fight. Before law enforcement arrived, social media exploded with reactions and heartbreaking moments, followed especially when close friend Lil Reese learned of Von's passing.
Man, my girl woke me up and told me, like, "Yo, homie just got killed." I was like, "What you mean, who?" She was like, "Von." And then I got on the internet and I seen everything. I was like, just like, damn.
Another heartbreaking moment was captured live when King Von's closest friend and mentor, Lil Durk, found out about the shooting in real time. Durk was on Instagram Live when fans flooded his comments with news that Von had been shot. Shocked and visibly shaken, he abruptly ended the stream a gut-wrenching scene that quickly went viral, intensifying the collective grief in the rap community. Shortly after, Durk posted an emotional tribute saying, "My twin gone. I love you, baby bro D. Roy," before deactivating his Instagram for several months. The bond between Von and Durk went far beyond music. Though not blood relatives, Durk often called Von his twin or baby bro, a reflection of their deep connection rooted in their shared upbringing on Chicago's O Block. Durk signed Von to Only the Family in 2018, shortly after Von returned from a 3.5-year prison bid. Under Durk's mentorship, Von transitioned from a street figure to a rising rap star with serious momentum. His breakout hit, Crazy Story, peaked at number 81 on the Billboard Hot 100 and showcased his raw, cinematic storytelling. Tracks like Crazy Story 2.0 and All These Nanaras with Durk further highlighted their chemistry on wax and their unbreakable brotherhood in real life. To truly understand what led to Von's death, you have to look at the long simmering tensions in the rap game. The fatal encounter with Quando Rondo's crew wasn't random. It was part of a deeper beef, potentially linked to NBA Youngboy, since Quando is affiliated with Youngboy's Never Broke Again collective. There had already been friction between Lil Durk's OTF camp and Youngboy's circle, tensions that spilled over into the streets. In a later interview, Quando Rondo claimed the situation escalated when Von's crew approached them aggressively, and that he was hit first, prompting a self-defense response from his team. He described it as an out-of-body experience, saying they weren't ready for a fight. But surveillance footage later surfaced, showing Von throwing the first punch at Quando, complicating claims of self-defense. Timothy "Lul Tim" Leaks, an associate of Quando Rondo, was arrested and charged with felony murder in connection with Von's death. Despite the charge typically being non-bondable in Georgia, Leaks was granted a $100,000 bond and released on March 27, 2021, with an ankle monitoring outcome that outraged Von's fans and loved ones. Vaughn's ex, Asian Doll, voiced the frustration many felt, accusing the justice system of failing Vaughn. In a shocking development, the felony murder charges against Leaks were dropped in August 2023, before the case ever went to trial. His attorney stated that prosecutors determined the shooting was likely self-defense and didn't believe they had enough evidence to secure a conviction. A legal expert clarified that the dismissal didn't prove Leaks was innocent, only that there wasn't enough to convict him beyond a reasonable doubt. The dismissal reignited tensions. Asian Doll claimed in a since-deleted tweet that the police had actually killed Vaughn, though there's no evidence supporting that claim. To make matters worse, Leaks released a track titled "Let's Stain" shortly after the charges were dropped, where he bragged about beating the case, further provoking Vaughn's supporters. Vaughn's death left a massive void in Chicago's drill scene and triggered a relentless wave of retaliation and mourning. The consequences of that night in Atlanta continue to echo in the culture, leading to more violence, legal chaos, and heartbreak on both sides. In a 2021 interview, Vaughn's former manager, Track, reflected on the haunting parallels between Vaughn's death and that of hip-hop icon Tupac Shakur, young legends whose lives were cut short by cycles of conflict and violence.
Bro, it's past there. It's kind of crazy, right? Like, it's the same scenario. And Vaughn is like the same type of artist, same type of guy. Like, it's just saying God must have had the plan, and the plan got to be probably bigger than we all know it is.
This comparison between Tupac and King Von underscores some striking parallels. Both were influential voices in hip-hop who kept it raw in their music and real in their lives, and both were tragically killed after initiating physical altercations that quickly escalated into deadly violence. But Von's story didn't end with his death or even with the dropped charges against Timothy "Lil Tim" Leaks. In the months and years that followed, the beef stayed alive through a string of alleged retaliations, with social media acting as the main stage for much of the chaos, including the alleged targeting of Quando Rondo, and what would later be described as a murder-for-hire plot. Von's death hit Lil Durk especially hard. In December 2020, just a month after Von was killed, Durk dropped his album The Voice, which was dedicated to his fallen friend. The cover art featured both rappers alongside the phrase "Long Live Grandson," a nickname that paid homage to Von's ties to O-Block. The album wasn't just a tribute, it was also a deeply personal outlet for Durk as he processed the loss of someone he called a brother. But beyond the music, darker currents were swirling. Behind the scenes, there were signs of something more serious brewing. Alleged plans for revenge. Tensions between Durk's OTF camp and Quando Rondo's circle reportedly simmered for nearly 2 years after Von's death. Then in August 2022, things took a deadly turn. Quando Rondo was targeted in a shooting at a Los Angeles gas station, which left his cousin, Savannah "Lulpab" Robinson, dead. At the time, it wasn't clear if the attack was tied to Von's murder, but everything changed in October 2024, when federal charges connected the dots. According to the feds, 5 men from Chicago, Kayvon London Grant, DeAndre Dantrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and Asa Houston were indicted on serious charges. Conspiracy to commit murder for hire resulting in death, and use of a machine gun in a violent crime. The indictment painted a chilling picture, alleging that the motive behind the 2022 shooting was Quando Rondo's perceived role in Von's death. Even more explosive were the claims that an unnamed co-conspirator widely believed to be Lil Durk offered money and career opportunities in exchange for carrying out the hit. The details of the plot were disturbingly calculated. After learning Quando was staying at a hotel in LA, Wilson allegedly recruited the others to travel across the country, some flying in from Chicago, and Grant reportedly arriving via private jet from Miami with the weapons, including a modified automatic firearm. The crew used 2 rented vehicles, a white BMW and a white Infiniti with fake license plates, to track Rondo and execute the ambush. What makes the allegations even more intense is the level of coordination and funding involved. Prosecutors claimed flights, rental cars, and other logistics were covered using credit cards tied to OTF. After the shooting, the group allegedly went to a burger joint to discuss payment, and some members were later paid for their roles in the attack. The case escalated dramatically in October 2024, when Lil Durk was arrested near Miami International Airport and charged with conspiracy to commit murder for hire. According to an FBI affidavit, unnamed witnesses claimed Durk put a bounty on Quando Rondo after Von's killing. Though Durk wasn't explicitly named in the indictment as the person offering the incentives, investigators pointed to his leadership of OTF and the use of financial resources tied to his camp as compelling indicators. Lil Durk has continued to assert his innocence in the federal murder-for-hire case. His legal team argues that prosecutors misled the grand jury and lack sufficient evidence directly tying him to the alleged plot. Originally scheduled to begin on January 7, 2025, the trial was delayed until October 2025 due to the case's complexity, which includes over 230 gigabytes of digital evidence and more than 20,000 pages of documentation. But this isn't the only legal fallout connected to King Von's death and its aftermath. In October 2024, the estate of FBG Duck, a fellow Chicago rapper who was shot and killed in August 2020, filed a civil lawsuit against King Von's estate, Lil Durk, and OTF Records. The lawsuit alleges that Von placed a bounty of $50,000 to $100,000 on Duck's head, pointing to a pattern of orchestrated violence allegedly linked to the OTF collective. If these claims are proven in court, they could reveal a disturbing network where rap rivalries, gang ties, and music business dealings are intertwined in ways that blur moral and legal boundaries and end in deadly consequences. Shifting focus. Another critical element of this entire saga is how Instagram Live has become a stage for real-time violence in the hip-hop world. As mentioned earlier, Lil Durk was live on IG when fans began commenting that Von had been shot, prompting him to abruptly end the stream. But there have been even more direct and harrowing examples of violence caught on IG Live, especially among artists connected to or influenced by the drill scene Von helped popularize. One of the most chilling incidents occurred in July 2021, when Los Angeles rapper Indian Red Boy, real name Zerail Dijon Rivera, was gunned down while streaming live. Rivera was sitting in his car mid-conversation with influencer Capone when a shooter fired at least 12 rounds into the vehicle. The live stream captured the horrifying moment Rivera struggled to speak and asked for help before collapsing, leaving viewers shocked and traumatized. Another incident took place in November 2020 involving Alabama rapper Honeycomb Brazy. While on Instagram Live flexing a Kobe Bryant jersey outside a barbershop, Brazy was ambushed by gunmen who
When you did finally find out that it was King Von who died, how'd you feel?
I was like, damn. If Brian did that stupid last night, he still would have been alive. That's how I was. But I was like, I ain't no the type person I am. Like, I'm a humble person. I ain't no disrespect to like his mama saying.